Chapter 1.7 Weberian Ideology. We can turn now to another major German sociologist, that is that of Max Weber in 1864 to 1920. It has often been observed that Max Weber developed his ideas and theories keeping Marxian thought as a counterpoint or point of reference or departure to begin his theorizing. According to Weber, Marx had developed a unique causal theory in which every social aspect was driven or propelled forward by the economy and the economic factors. This criticism can be expressed by pointing out that Marx's theory of economic determinism did not go down very well with Weber, who in contrast pointed out that there were several factors or causes which are at work simultaneously in a society and make it operate. In short, Weber's idea was that any aspect of social process had several causes that made it operate, and no single complex of factors like as economy could be given primary so far as social processes are concerned. For the materialists who believed in economic determinism, it was the material factor that determined ideology. However, we find that in the case of Marx, the sequence is held to be the other way around. That is, it is the ideas that determine what is done with the economy. Weber was especially concerned with the effect of religion's ideas on economic development. Thus, in his study of Protestantism, he showed how ideas themselves were capable of generating economic development. Weber also studied other religions than Protestantism, including Hinduism, of which he felt that its lower rate of economic development was due to a constricting segmentation of society into a larger number of castes or jadis. This means that once again the landlord or person with land holding began to exploit the lower class castes with unfair sharing of the produce. If it was sharecropping and many related demands, if it was possible to exploit them further, this however does not bear great depth because sociologists in the 50s conducted studies and came to the conclusion that Hinduism does not create economic impediments and caste adapts to a new economic challenge in a positive manner. Weber was interested in how the process of rationalization led to economic development and to the creation and existence of large bureaucracies and other social institutions. Weber was concerned with how a social actor makes decisions regarding his goals. He pointed out, however, that these decisions were themselves influenced by the rules and regulations that exist in the society. Formal rationality. Weber was concerned with what is known as formal rationality, was thus enveloped by the development of bureaucratization. Thus, Weber pointed out there are three types of authority in political structures. These are the traditional, charismatic, and rational legal systems of authority. While the traditional system and the charismatic authority have been witnessed historically, it is the rational legal system which was involved with the development of bureaucracy in the modern sense. Traditional authority derives from a sanctity of belief patterns, like that in monarchy where succession is in a line of kings. Thus, the prince who became king by succession in an example of traditional authority. On the other hand, charismatic authority is based on something extraordinary which the incumbent has, which creates leadership. The belief among the adherents of charismatic leaders' powers is enough for the phenomenon to exist. Thus, the two types of authority are historically embedded. We find that rational legal authority is the basic modern modality of leadership. Most political systems derive leaders from a rational legal procedure. Example, the president, prime minister, etc. of modern states generally adopt a rational legal procedure. Ultimately, Weber's theories proved more acceptable than those of Marx, especially the political and economic application. They are liberal in some ways and conservative in other ways, and unlike Marx, he did not espouse total radicalism and violent revolutions in order to find a solution to the problems of capitalism. Weber, in fact, was quite against such solutions. Thus, the Western sociologists found Weber reassuring after the polemical writing of Marx. Weber's writing was formal and academic, and this made it easier to understand and holistic in the outlook. It is little wonder then that Weber was the most prominent German sociologist of his time. At the same time, in Britain, the sociologists were also busy responding to their social context in which they were embedded. British sociologists tends to study the individual and his role in societal existence and development. Thus, here sociology was built around the factors of political economy, social reforms, and that of the social evolution theory. As regards political economy, it was a theory of capitalism which had been discussed by Adam Smith, who spoke of an invisible hand that controlled the market forces. The market was over and above the individual and regulated his behavior. Thus, the market forces were viewed as a source of social order and cohesion in society. Following this perspective, the sociologist was not involved in criticizing market forces on society at large. Rather, his job was to study societies, primitive and contemporary, and draw out reports for use by the government to fulfill societal goals. The next chapter is British sociologists.